Hello, everyone, and welcome to your G.I. Joe read-along book. Every time you hear this chime, it means it's time to turn the page in your storybook. Now, if you are ready, we will start Destro's Doomsday Auction. Don't forget to turn the page every time you hear the chime. All right, let's begin. A top-secret military caravan moved down a deserted highway in a remote region of the American Northwest. Tanks were escorting a huge military transport carrying Doomsday missiles armed with warheads. The missiles were headed for a secret launch site, but the caravan did not pass through the wilderness unnoticed.
Our spies did their jobs well.
Destro told his number one henchman, Scrap Iron.
We'll be able to handle the guards with ease.
Scrap Iron nodded. At Destro's signal, he prepared to fire a rocket-propelled anti-tank weapon.
No!
Destro yelled. Scrap Iron fired, and fired again. The tanks exploded as Destro's men swarmed over the convoy. The attack was over in a matter of minutes. Laughing triumphantly, Destro said,
I have already arranged for the transporting of the Doomsday missiles to our secret munitions dump. When the time is right, certain people, including Cobra Commander, will pay, and pay well for these missiles.
After months of rounding up buyers, Destro was ready to hold his missile sale. His Doomsday Auction, he called it. Finding people to bid against Cobra Commander for the missiles had taken time. Only 2 bidders dared oppose Cobra, the worldwide terrorist group. One was General Idi Kamal, a mad dictator who had overthrown the government of his oil-rich country. The other bidder was King Raja Khan, the wealthy ruler of a tiny, power-hungry country. The auction was held at Destro's secret munitions dump on a volcanic island in the Pacific Ocean. The inside of the volcano had been set up as Destro's private headquarters. Deep inside the volcano, Destro monitored the approach of helicopters and Cobra rattlers on a scanner screen.
The bidders are arriving,
he announced to Scrap Iron.
I'll handle the auction. You tend to the needs of Major Blood's Cobra troops.
Scrap Iron nodded and left for the island's hidden airstrip.
Greetings, Destro!
Hissed Cobra Commander as he entered the volcano's main cavern.
I trust that the troops I brought with me will be equipped with the latest of weapons.
Scrap Iron will see to it,
Destro assured Cobra Commander. At that moment, the young woman who was at General Kamal's side stepped forward and explained,
The General does not speak English. I am Miss Benteen, his translator. The General is impatient. He wants the auction to begin.
Destro snarled.
The auction will begin when I am ready. I waited months. He can wait a few hours.
With that, Destro stepped up to a wall and pressed a button. There was a grinding sound as the stone walls slid open and revealed the missiles. Destro led his bidders into the huge room and invited,
Take your time and look over the merchandise.
Since the theft of the warheads, the G.I. Joes had been on standby alert at their underground headquarters, waiting for a report on the stolen missiles' location. Now, a special alarm signal went off, breaking the silence. Hawk immediately shouted to Breaker, Destro has made his move at last. Our agent's homing signal will lead us right to the missiles. Instantly, computers pinpointed and analyzed Destro's island. Attack groups were formed and briefed. In minutes, the G.I. Joes were ready to go, piling into transports which would jet teams and equipment to their jumping-off points. A short time later, Wild Bill and Flint in G.I. Joe helicopters had Destro's island in sight. Cutter and Shipwreck circled the island in the G.I. Joe hovercraft Whale. Their mission was to land a special four-man unit at the rear of the volcano. High above the island, Ripcord and Airborne began a free fall from their transport. Before the attack force appeared on Destro's scanners, the G.I. Joe parachuters had landed and set up cover fire for the incoming choppers.
Gunfire!
Major Blood yelled as he and Scrap Iron raced out of a munitions warehouse. They saw helicopters approaching as the alarm systems went haywire.
G.I. Joe attack!
Blood called to a Televiper communications expert.
Alert all Cobra officers! Have our troops join in the island's defense!
Wild Bill checked the landing zone from his chopper.
Ripcord and Airborne have the zone clear, but Cobra troops are buzzing like mad bees.
He shouted to his unit in the copter.
When we touch down, come out firing!
As soon as the helicopter hit the ground, Grunt, Stalker, Gung-Ho, Roadblock, Bazooka, and Footloose leaped out with guns blazing.
Yo, Joe! Hee-ha!
Wild Bill shouted as they scrambled for cover. Meanwhile, Flint flew the other chopper past Wild Bill's landing zone. His unit's job was to outflank the enemy. Blood shouted into his radio.
We need air support as the chopper passes overhead. Radio the airfield and get our Rattlers airborne!
Minutes later, the sky was filled with Cobra Rattlers. But before they could get to Flint's chopper, Ace dove out of the clouds in Sky Striker with 2-Star close behind.
I'll take the bandits on the left.
Ace radioed to 2-Star.
Ones on the right are all yours. Good hunting, buddy. Over.
Ace opened fire, and a Cobra Rattler went down in flames. When Flint's helicopter touched down, the enemy forces were caught in a squeeze.
We better let Cobra Commander Destro!
Blood told Scrap Iron, and away they sped in a Cobra stun to the volcano headquarters. Meanwhile, at the rear of the volcano, Cutter had landed Duke and his special unit, Snake Eyes, Spirit, and Alpine. Alpine was already scaling the sheer slope with the others close behind. Stopping on a ledge, Duke checked a directional device attached to his wrist, then announced to the Joe team,
According to the homing signal, the secret entrance shouldn't be much farther.
Inside Destro's headquarters, the auction was continuing, with the bidding fast and furious in spite of the battle outside. Blood and Scrap Iron entered just as General Kamal whispered a new offer to his translator. Miss Bentine then announced,
The General instructs me to bid $20 million.
Blood whispered something to Cobra Commander, who nodded and returned his attention to the auction.
G.I. Joe forces are everywhere!
Hissed Cobra Commander.
Time is short! I will make one last bid of $50 million!
Destro frowned, then snapped.
The auction will continue. My headquarters are so well hidden, the G.I. Joes could look for years and never find us in here.
Duke halted his unit on the slope of the volcano and said,
The entrance is here somewhere.
The Joe team began to search along the ledge. Suddenly, Spirit stopped. The expert tracker detected something odd about a boulder just ahead of him. Spirit pointed at the rock. The others nodded in acknowledgement. All the G.I. Joes readied their weapons. Spirit used every ounce of his strength as he gripped the boulder and forced it to turn. A loud click was followed by the grinding sound of a motor. Suddenly, the huge slab of stone slid open, revealing a secret entrance into the mountain. Snake Eyes quickly sprang into the dark tunnel. The martial arts expert KO'd the guards before they could trigger the manual alarm system.
Yo, Joe!
Duke cried as the G.I. Joes dashed into the volcano. Even though the guards couldn't trigger the manual alarm, a hidden sensor triggered an automatic alarm, which rang loudly in Destro's auction room. The bidding stopped abruptly, and Destro ran to the scanner screen. He flipped a switch, and a picture appeared.
G.I. Joes are in the tunnel!
He snarled to the bidders.
And there's only one way they could have found us. Someone here is a spy.
Destro drew a pistol on the bidders as he shouted to Scrap Iron.
Take Cobra Commander and Major Blood through the escape hatch to our submarine basin. Prepare a getaway craft.
After the three had gone, Destro addressed his captives.
Since I don't know who the G.I. Joe agent is, I'll dispose of all of you!
With that, Destro fired a shot that echoed through the vast cavern. Raja Khan grabbed his chest and slumped to the floor. Destro's shot caused Duke's unit to freeze for an instant in the dark tunnel. Then, breaking into a run, Duke commanded,
Hurry! Our agent may be in trouble.
Turning a corner, the G.I. Joes spied the main cavern just ahead, and Duke yelled,
Let's go! Yo, Joe!
Inside the cavern, Destro leveled his gun at General Kamal. With an evil laugh, Destro shouted,
This is one time when it's ladies last.
Kamal made a dash for the exit just as Destro fired, but the bullet found its mark.
Oh!
And Kamal fell, just as Duke and the other G.I. Joes entered.
Look out, Joe Team!
Yelled Miss Bentine as she dove for cover. The translator was really Lady J in disguise. Machine gun fire from Spirit and Alpine sent Destro scrambling into the secret escape hatch. The tunnel door slammed behind him and locked tight.
Lady J, are you okay?
Asked Duke as he helped her to her feet.
I'm fine,
She said, holding up her wrist.
but the homing device isn't.
It did its job.
Duke replied with a smile.
And speaking of jobs, I'd better check with the other units.
Alpine handed Duke a radio. Seconds later, Wild Bill was in radio contact.
Join forces with Flint's group.
Wild Bill reported.
Battle's over down here. All we have to do is mop up.
Have you been in touch with Cutter?
Duke asked. Wild Bill replied,
Roger. Cutter picked up an enemy sub on the whale's radar, but he couldn't catch it. The sub got away.
Duke frowned as he put down the radio. Destro, Cobra Commander, and their henchmen had slipped through the Joe team's fingers. Once again, the forces of evil had escaped justice. Then Duke turned to look at the missiles. His frown disappeared as he said,
At least the missiles are in safe hands. We accomplished that by stopping Destro's Doomsday auction.
Lady J smiled and said,
Oh, I wouldn't call it an auction, Duke. Thanks to G.I. Joe, it was more like a going out of business sale.